This cartridge did everything that it was designed to do, and in my opinion, in smaller frame gun, is far superior to 357. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In our previous video, we covered the history of the 327 Federal Magnum cartridge. In that video, I expressed an opinion that it wasn't a terribly popular round amongst revolver shooters. In fact, a lot of people are not even aware that it's actually on the market and has been since 2008. Now, what we'd like to talk about today is how that all fits into potentially the everyday carry world. In my humble opinion, that is where the 327 Federal Magnum actually starts to shine. As we discussed, it was designed to have one extra round in the same frame revolver that would typically carry 5 if it was chambered in 357 Magnum or 38. Now you'll notice I've got some everyday carry guns here on the table, and they are, of course, snub nose. Some have hammers, some do not. If you've ever had the pleasure, or some would say the displeasure, of firing a 357 Magnum cartridge out of a gun this size and weight, it's not a terribly pleasurable experience. In fact, for a lot of people, it's simply not doable. However, with 327 Federal Magnum, you get comparable 357 Magnum power with a reduced recoil. Some would say a third less. So, if you think about it along these lines, not only do you get more firepower with the 327 Federal Magnum because of its extra cartridge, you also get more usable firepower. In theory, it should be faster to shoot the gun in a string shooting event, or how many rounds can you fire accurately in a short period of time. That lends itself to a lot more positive characteristics than one might find in 357 Magnum. One of the other things you'll notice is it's more flat shooting because it's faster, and it has a very good amount of accuracy even from a small sight radius and a small barrel. Out of a 3-inch barrel, you could see speeds up to 1,400 feet per second with this cartridge, which is awfully impressive. Now, if you don't like to shoot full power loads all of the time, with the 327 Federal Mag, you can cut down, so to speak, because it will shoot all the 32s, including the 32 Smith & Wesson long, which in theory, maybe the short would be a little less recoil, but the long would be a very shootable round. And the only downside to all of this is, whether it's 327 Federal Mag all the way down to 32 Smith & Wesson long, it can be quite expensive to shoot. So if you're going to train the round a lot, be prepared. The prices, some would find, are actually staggering. Up to $40 a box for 50 shells. That's quite a lot. You'll see as we continue to train, and when we go out onto the firing line and test this all out with ballistic gel, we're going to try to run a side-by-side comparison with 357 Magnum on the same day out of the same relative size gun. So hopefully we'll be able to catch the recoil impulse, and you can do a side-by-side comparison on whether it actually does have a significant amount of reduced recoil. I've fired a 327 cartridge quite a lot. It does have recoil. Don't be confused, it's not a 22. You're definitely going to notice something happen, but hopefully we'll be able to time a string shoot and then watch on camera how the gun actually behaves once it's fired. When the cartridge was originally developed, it was supposed to go into a Ruger SP101, but like anything, firearm manufacturers decided that they were going to chamber guns in that caliber. This happens to be one from Charter Arms, which is one of the first people besides Ruger to produce firearms chambered in that caliber. You'll notice this is kind of an undercover detective style gun. That's actually what they call this from Charter Arms. It does have a bit of a spur hammer, double action, and as you can tell, get this guy open. Hopefully you can see this through the camera lens. Definitely 6 rounds instead of the 5. Next we have a couple of twin Rugers, of course one with an enclosed hammer, and the next one I'll show you actually has a hammer. This is actually a range gun from Buffalo Trading Company. I fired this gun a lot, which is how I know it does have more recoil than perhaps some people advertise that it does. Also 6 rounds as the normal 5. And then of course, just to demonstrate all the different capabilities one would have for an everyday carry round. This, of course, has the cockable hammer, double single action, which some people would prefer, especially for more methodical, accurate range shooting. As we've discussed in the past, related to everyday carry, please don't cock the hammer in an emergency situation on your revolver. Always shoot it double action. In 2018, Gun Digest wrote an article that asked whether 327 Federal Magnum was the best all-purpose Magnum cartridge ever designed. We'll post a link to that article so you can maybe decide for yourself. In my humble opinion, I would say maybe. I don't think in a full-size revolver that it makes a lot of sense when you factor in the cost, and it's as good as 357 ballistically, but not better. It makes more sense to me that it's probably the best Magnum cartridge ever designed for everyday carry or in smaller framed revolvers, because you have less recoil, you have the same roughly ballistic characteristics of its bigger brothers, and significantly more firepower. This cartridge did everything that it was designed to do, and in my opinion, in smaller frame gun, is far superior to 357. I personally believe that the 327 Federal Mag is a better everyday carry cartridge, especially for deep concealment, than anything chambered in 357 Magnum because of the above mentioned reasons. If you look at firepower, not only as an individual characteristic of the bullet, but necessarily the platform, how many rounds are actually in there, this is a significant increase in firepower over a 357 Magnum. I know I just said something sacrilegious, but it's true. It does work that way. Look at it from the overall capabilities of the platform once all rounds are expelled. And I think you'll find this is a very interesting cartridge. If you have the chance to get to the range and give it a try, shoot one at some range if they have it as a demo gun. I think you're really going to like what it can do.